Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Summerlin and I'm here today to talk to you about this poem, One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. I'm going to start by reading it and then I'm going to go through it in sections. So if you have the poem in front of you, I would make the same marks that I'm making. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day, except the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster. Places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch. And look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones. And vaster some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I missed them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love, I shan't have lied. It's evident the art of losing's not too hard to master, though it may look like, write it, like disaster. Okay, so this poem is at its core about loss and losing things and the process we go to try and overcome the pain of that loss. So let's look at how Elizabeth Bishop develops this poem. So we start here in the very beginning in the first stanza. She says the art of losing isn't hard to master. Well, losing isn't really an art, so she's using this word almost sarcastically to make light of a situation. If you've ever lost a thing, you know it's not something you practice at, it's just something that you happen. So art typically means a skill, and obviously she's saying, you know, getting skillful at losing things isn't hard. She said, so many things seem filled with the intent to be lost that their loss is no disaster. These things that are filled with the intent to be lost, those are like those little things that you just seem to lose all the time, like pens. For me, it's like hair ties, pennies, all these small things that you can't ever find when you need them. Small things that seem filled with the intent to be lost. Their loss is no disaster. If you lose small stuff, it's okay. Small losses are all right. It's no big deal when you lose something small. We lose small things every single day. Lose something every day. So she's almost like giving you advice here, almost like practice losing something every day. This is where her advice starts in. She says, lose something every day. So you get that verb, lose. And then you get, accept the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. If you've ever lost your keys or lost your phone, and you swear, I just had that, where is it? And you tear up your house trying to find it. She said, accept that. It's going to happen. You're going to lose your phone. You're going to lose your keys. You're going to lose that thing you swear you were just looking at. And you're going to tear up your house trying to find it, and it's going to be in the weirdest place. And so she says, accept it. These kind of frustrating loss happens. And not only should you accept losing the thing and being frustrated, you should accept the loss of the time. You've also lost an hour of your life trying to find your phone or your keys. So her point is proved here. The art of losing isn't hard to master. You lose stuff without even trying. And that sounds kind of silly. The word is flippant, but she's building to a point here. Then practice losing farther, losing faster. So we get another verb. She's like, hey, practice this. Keep going. Losing farther, losing faster. You've lost little things. Now practice losing bigger stuff. She doesn't mean either that she wants you to run out of your house just throwing $100 bills away. She means practice the feeling of losing bigger things. So she comes in with places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. Someone's name is a big and important thing, but if you don't remember it, it's not going to be the end of the world. It might bother them, but it's not the end of the world. Where it was you meant to travel, like all your goals and your wishes, None of those will bring disaster if you forget them. And it's okay. Like, go out and learn more names to forget. Then she moves on to, I lost my mother's watch. Now, this is the first time we get that I. So we get a first person pronoun there. So she's bringing herself into this poem. So she's in it. She's in this poem, the speaker. I lost my mother's watch. Now that seems like such a small thing, but for those of us who have mementos from loved ones, those small things are emotionally significant. So it's a small thing, but it's a big thing. She goes, and look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. That's large to lose a house. And now she didn't forget where she put her house. She obviously had to move out or leave for some kind of reason. These are big emotional things. We get attached to our homes. And she says, she loved it. The art of losing isn't hard to master. She's lost a lot of things in her life. She's lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster some realms I owned. A realm is like an area. It's like a place. Like a desert would be a realm. Some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. So it doesn't get much larger than a continent. So she's obviously hasn't misplaced these things. She still knows where Europe is. But she has moved away from those things. So she has lost them in a sense that she can't go back to them. They're gone from her. These are very large things, large sort of abstract ideas. Things she cannot go back to. So if you've ever moved from a place, maybe you moved from Texas to Georgia, you've lost Texas. That's what she means here. Even losing you. Now, you might notice that we get this dash here. That dash, like she doesn't want to talk about it. It's a pause before she starts on this stanza. So a pause before she starts here on this stanza, which is like a poem is a paragraph in a poem. So we call those stanzas. So there's that dash, that pause. Even losing you. So we get a you. So we don't know who that is. The joking voice, a gesture of love, I shan't have lied. Okay, so she says whoever it is she's lost, she misses their voice, their joking voice, their humor. So this is a person. And whoever that person is, she remembers their funny voice, their joking voice. A gesture I love, and that sort of that attaches to her. I shan't have lied. She goes, even losing you, I'm not lying. So she means all the things she said so far. It's evident the art of losing is not too hard to master. So she's not lying. It is easy to become good at losing stuff. It is easy. We lose things all the time, is what she's saying. We lose things all the time. So it's evident the art of losing is not too hard to master. She does throw 2 in here. It's hard. But hard means 2 things here. So you get hard meaning difficult to do. Like, man, that math test was hard. And hard, like difficult to feel. Man, that movie was hard to watch. It made me so sad. So the art of losing is not too hard to master. It's not difficult to do. But it is a little difficult to feel. It's not too hard to master. It is kind of difficult to feel it. She goes, it's evident the art of losing is not too hard to master, though it may look like, write it, like disaster. So when she puts the write it here in a parentheses, it's kind of like a talk to herself. It's to herself. She's pushing herself to do it. She said, the art of losing is not too hard to master, though it may look like disaster. So she is stating here at the end that although it's not hard to lose stuff, like we do it all the time, it does take a toll on us. It is a disaster when we lose stuff. Losing things does have an impact. That you might call a disaster. Certainly losing a person is a disaster. So why is she telling us that it's not a disaster, though it may look like a disaster? Well, it's the same reason she gives us this parentheses here. She's pushing herself to talk about it. And it's the same reason that she starts with little things like car keys and builds to a person. She's trying to talk herself through this process of grief. And we've talked about Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief. You have denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And here, Elizabeth Bishop, the speaker of this poem, is moving through some of those ideas. And the speaker's trying to move herself into this acceptance role. She says, okay, losing things isn't hard. We lose things all the time. I have lost big things, important things, even losing a person. That happens to everybody. But that last stanza is not the same as the other 4. It starts with that dash, so she's hesitant. She doesn't know how to start. She has this parentheses twice, so she's having a moment where her thoughts aren't fluid, they aren't straightforward. She breaks those thoughts a little bit. She indicates 2. She's never put a 2 before. Isn't hard to master, but now she has it's not too hard to master, so it is difficult. She has another parentheses here where she's like, no, keep writing, write it. So she's using writing like therapy to try to overcome this loss, and she's not completely successful. If you look at her structure just one more time, and that's something I think that we can look at for our own writing, the structure of this, she starts again with common stuff, little things that don't have any emotional intent behind them. Very common, straightforward stuff. Common items. Little stuff. Then she moves to just like normal things, normal losses. Then she moves to those losses of memory and emotion. These are slightly more important. Then she moves to those big emotional losses, emotional items. They're still things. Here, these are things, cities and rivers and continents. They're still things, but they're intangible. You can't touch them. They're more abstract things. And then you get to the most important thing of all, this intangible emotional person. Like emotional and significant. So she starts with small little things. She builds to slightly bigger, more important things, slightly bigger, more important things, not just her physical importance, but for her emotional importance, bigger, more important emotional things, even bigger, more important emotional things, until she's this huge thing here. And you're like, well, a person is smaller than a continent. Yes, but a person is incredibly important, especially to one other person. So you're having to deal with not only size issues, but significant issues. Like these things are small in significance. This is large in significance. And in your writing, you can do something very similar. If you want to take your narrative from the small things that you lost due to COVID and build to a big emotional thing, you certainly can do that. And your structure is going to kind of look like a pyramid, which is what her structure looks like here. Small things to big things.